For our precedent study, we had the Tianjin Library in Tianjin, Binhai, China. This is just a photo montage of the main parts of the building that we will be talking about today. It's all about the eye. Tianjin Binhai Library is part of German architect GMP's master plan, which aims to accentuate the characteristics of the surrounding districts. The complex is intended as a junction point for the CBD, Old Town, residential districts, commercial areas, and the government quarters, supplementing missing programs in each. The library's outer volume was stipulated in the master plan, thus the eye and surrounding semi-public area are an internal space, an inverted icon, acting as a central point and following the building. This diagram here shows a little bit of their thought process for the structure, the separate layers of the building, as well as the zones. Speaking of the zones, these are the goals the architects had. There was a lot of focus around minimizing and maximizing certain areas, specifically speaking about the furniture built in, which is the landscape topography type waves that you see on all of these diagrams here around the eye or the pupil. Moving on to some information about Tianjin.
Because of the density of the city, it is split up into 16 administrative districts, which is all sectioned together through airports and railways. The majority of the different buildings in the city are manufacturing buildings, which is why the library is located in between a large manufacturing area. The city was originally established during the Song Dynasty, which is where the commercial and manufacturing elements of the city became. During the Manchu Dynasty and quickly after the Second Opium War, European migrants came, which only more grew the melting pot culture of the city. After the Opium War and the Second World War, the Japanese government lost control of Tianjin. Today, the city of Tianjin has a lack of fresh water, is heavily polluted because of their electricity powered by coal, and has schools attached to factories and residential areas. They also have planned birth programs to help with their population. Because of these issues, the Tianjin Library was commissioned out of a competition. In order to combat the polluted air and water, Tianjin Library has a series of water pumps and green roofs. The green roofs are made of silicone wafers, which help clean carbon dioxide out of the air around it. The water pumps are located in the basement floor of the Tianjin Library. These pumps pump over 5,000 tons of water and regenerates it. These pumps are attached to the side of California and help regenerate water there too.
Tianjin Binhai Library is MVRD's fastest realized project to date. It took just 3 years from the first sketch to the opening. The critical sequence of the building is mainly two parts, the first being the atrium where all the social activity takes place, and the second being the collection of rooms and supportive functions around the cave. For the exterior spaces, the design was to take an oval shape and extrude it through the entire building. The glass opening creates a facade that looks like the human eye. The large glass also allows one to see through the entire space as if one was physically looking through that eye themselves. There are two main entrances, the first being from the outside and the other being from the inside of the 5 massive buildings. Once you enter in the building, you are first met with the reception desk, as well as the topography-like shelves on either side of you, to your left and to your right. For public facilities, there are no areas to get snacks besides vending machines. However, there are shops and food places to go enjoy within walking distance. As for talks or performances, in the middle of the central orb, it is hollow and has a theater in the middle of it. This 5-level building also contains extensive educational facilities arrayed along the edges of the interior and accessible through the main atrium space. There are lounge areas and reading rooms on the first and second floors and also contain more bookshelves and media for people to consume. As for the specifics for the collections and media that the Tianjin Binhai Library holds, it has books, magazines, comics, and some audiobooks as well. The media also accommodates those who are blind and has a large braille section. For faculty and staff areas, the locations of offices are located on the 3rd and 4th floors on the outer side of the structure. The programming also continues onto the upper levels but is restricted from the public. On to the structure that allows all of this programming to happen.
The building structure is a steel structure with a polycarbonate sphere in the middle. This construction was made through an elevator shaft system, which was lifted into place through a series of elevators that later became parts of the structure in the library. The building structure is a series of rectangular space frames which is held up on a series of columns oriented in a grid pattern. This allows for the large atrium to not have any columns in it and for all of the weight, compression, and tension of the building to be held on the outer parts of the structure. These diagrams are an accumulation of the information that we have acquired through this project.
Thank you for watching our precedent study of the Tianjin Binhai Library.